Dude talking about he ain't gonna pay me for the last episode I did, so I bounced, but now I want my bread.
Alright, you kids get to bed, I get the storybook.
My Expert Opp champ returns to the barbershop with a Draco. Chapter 1. Depressed and stressed champ sat alone on a cheap Temu sofa bed in his dimly lit Brooklyn apartment, an eviction notice crumpled in his hand. His beady eyes were glued to the 32-inch TV screen, watching the latest episode of My Expert Opinion, Hawk spitting on the screen every time the camera zoomed in on the show's main host, his former friend. Math Hoffa, the ex-felon, having recently completed a long prison sentence, couldn't shake the bitterness he had as he watched his old crew laughing, debating, doing what he once loved doing, while guzzling tequila straight out of its glass bottle. His own podcast, meant to be his breakout solo project, fizzled out without much notice, only getting 760 subscribers in 3 months. Now his pride bruised and pockets empty left him with few options. As a man who swore never to work a 9-to-5 again, his desperation and drunkenness started to take a dark turn. Chapter 2. Reflecting on past grudges as the episode ended, memories flooded back. The peanut butter brown-skinned networker recalled his years with My Expert Opinion, the arguments with Math Hoffa, the tension that always simmered between them, and all of the free running around he did as if he was a ghetto butler or something. In his mind, Math did him dirty, refusing to pay him after what was his last show. Then, today's eviction notice felt like the last straw. Champ blamed Math for his current situation, his poverty, his failure, his isolation, and given his past, the idea of revenge started to feel like a necessary path to reclaim his dignity and get back on his grind. Chapter 3. Putting together a killer plan, Champ went into his tiny bathroom, bashing a roach crawling all over his open toothbrush with a balled up fist, and began to strategize. Drawing on his street experience and his knowledge of the entertainment world, he devised a plan to infiltrate the My Expert Opinion barbershop. The goal? To sabotage an episode or possibly leak information that could ruin Math's reputation and the show's credibility. He knew people in the industry who might pay for inside dirt on Math Hoffa or even buy the setup for a new controversial show starring Champ himself. Bottom line was that he was in survival mode now and was damn near homeless, so he had to get some motion going by any means necessary. Chapter 4. Tool time. The next day, Champ awakened and called an acquaintance who agreed to sell him what some called a killing machine, a Draco submachine gun with 2 boxes of ammo thrown in for free. Champ didn't have the $1,000 price tag for it, so he gave the man a $50,000 pre-owned Richard Mille watch he'd stolen from inside of a mansion that his ex-biz partner Bimmy invited him to. Realizing he was taking a major loss, he shrugged off the feeling, telling himself it was worth it because the Blicky was helping him complete his mission. After taking the train over to Far Rockaway to get the Thule, Champ made his way up to Harlem to the barbershop/studio where My Expert Opinion was recorded, having been tipped off by an associate of Math's that they were filming an episode that day with comedian Cat Williams. Chapter 5. This ain't Ice Cube's barbershop. It's Champ, who was lit from snorting a few lines of White Girl earlier, approached the doors to the shop wearing an all-black Nike mask that covered most of his face. He immediately pulled the Draco out and let off a burst, hitting the huge security guard that Matt paid to watch the entrance. The man named Mark always wore a bulletproof vest, but it didn't save him this time because Champ's wild aim caused shells to hit the 6'6" giant in areas of his body that the vest didn't cover, like his arms, his kneecaps and legs, and even the area where his penis was located. Champ stepped over the bleeding beast, aiming his weapon at everyone in the shop as they stared back at him.
If anybody moves, I'll boom your ass just like I did this security nigga.
Champ yelled, staring butcher eyes at Math as the big man looked at his former friend with a "you got me" look on his face. Cat Williams looked at Champ and tried to make light of the situation by saying,
"Well, damn, Math Hoffa, this right here finna make the club Shay Shay in the View look like the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse or some shit. And this damn show ain't Ice Cube's barbershop. That's for damn show."
Champ, a huge fan of the comedian, greeted him and told him he could leave, but if he called the cops, then he would be responsible for every person in the shop dying that day. Cat Williams got up out of his barber's chair and thanked the ambusher before slowly stepping out of the studio, telling Math and Mecca that they didn't have to pay him the money they owed him for the interview due to the circumstances.
Math, this one is on me. And you, what's your name, champ? You ain't gotta worry about me calling the cops, cause I've been saying fuck 12 ever since I dropped out of high school in the 11th grade, my nigga. Y'all lovely people. Have a good day now.
Chapter 6. Catching up on old times. As everyone focused on the witty comedian's exit, Champ got a big surprise when co-host Gap Murder quickly grabbed one of the bottles of liquor kept on a counter behind the barber chairs and threw it as hard as he could at Champ, hitting him in the shoulder. An angry Champ retaliated by letting off a burst from his weapon, hitting his dark-skinned wiry ex-co-host in the shoulder and arm. Champ began talking to the wounded man, telling him how much he's always hated him because he was a hating ass nigga, all while keeping his gun trained on Math, Mecca, and the 3 stragglers sitting by the shop windows. Champ took the next minutes to reflect on his time at Mio, claiming that if it wasn't for his contributions to the show by bringing in big-name interviewees, the show wouldn't be shit. After he said these words and stared at Math, wishing he would even give him a doubtful look so he could spray his big ass to shreds, but the host turned on his acting skills and somberly glanced back at his disgruntled former employee with fear in his eyes. Champ then started explaining to everyone, including the production staff, as to what it was he was about to do. He told everyone that he wanted to go live, right that moment on Math's YouTube channel, and address some issues that the world needed to witness. But before that event took place, Champ forced his former boss to empty out his checking and savings accounts, using Zelle to transfer $604,000 over to his empty Chase account. Math protested the robbery at first, but Champ's anger surged, causing him to use the butt of his gun to strike Math in the face, cracking the man's nose with a sickening thud. Afterward, Math hurriedly grabbed his iPhone and completed the financial transaction as fresh blood trickled down his face, dripping on his brand new powder blue Fear of God Essentials hoodie.
Now that we got that shit over with and your boy ain't broke no more, let's get on with the live.
Champ yelled out as the cameramen got into their positions to film the live show. Chapter 7, Going Live But Not Alive. Champ glanced over at the big security guard he'd wed up earlier as the beast took his last few breaths and looked into the camera, introducing himself back to the Mio podcast. The cameraman then panned to Math and Mecca before settling on Gap Murder, who grimaced in pain as he held his wrapped up arm like a newborn baby.
Some bozo ass nigga walked up to me in the bodega yesterday talking about the nigga Champ, clapped me in this GK David movie story. But I want y'all niggas to know that this is fiction. All of GK David shit fiction, not real. The nigga should be writing movies or some shit, not be on YouTube doing stories. But in real life, I would fuck Champ up if he ever stepped to me with a stick, word of my mom. And when I see him, I'ma tell GK to take that part out of this shit, so y'all hit that like and subscribe buttons for my son.
A half second later, Champ began talking into the camera, going over his journey with the podcast, stiffening his facial muscles when he got to the part where Math refused to pay him and then exposed him after his departure. After a few minutes of this monologue, his former co-host, Mecca, got frustrated and finally interrupted him.
Listen, bro.
The nerdy dreadlock wearer began, his tone calm but firm.
I get it. You're mad at Math. You feel like he screwed you over. But what you're doing is insane.
Champ stopped in his tracks, his eyes flashing with the same anger that had been burning inside him since he left my expert opinion.
You don't understand, Mecca. That man took everything from me. While I'm here barely scraping by, he's out there living it up, annoying subscribers with his corny ass raps at the beginning of every video, refusing to pay staff and a bunch of other weirdo shit, my nigga.
But hold up, this episode is live, Champ.
Mecca shook his head.
That's not just revenge, that's career suicide. Not to mention actual suicide. You think you're just gonna walk out of here?
Champ's gaze hardened.
You think I care about my career? About walking out? I'm already at rock bottom, Mecca. This is all I got left.
Mecca sighed, leaning forward. He understood Champ's pain, his anger, the feeling of being left behind and overshadowed. He'd seen how the podcast, their little show, was everything to him, but Champ's plan was a ticking time bomb.
Champ, listen to me.
Mecca kept his voice steady, though his heart was pounding.
What you're doing isn't going to hurt Math. It's only going to hurt you. You'll be a headline for a week, maybe. Ex-host goes live with a gun. And then what? You disappear and Math keeps going. All you'll be is another cautionary tale.
Champ's grip on the gun loosened slightly, and he looked away, frustration replacing some of the rage in his eyes.
You're just saying that because you think I'm bluffing, bro.
No, Champ, I'm saying that because I know you.
Mecca rose, his voice full of urgency.
I know you're better than this. You're angry and you've got every right to be, but this, it's not you, man. This is desperation talking.
So what you want me to do? Just sit here, watch him shine while I got nothing?
Mecca replied, holding his gaze.
I'm saying Focus that energy. Make something new. Start over. Show everyone what you're capable of. You got talent, champ. You know that. You don't need math, and you definitely don't need to go out like this.
The words hung heavy in the air as Math glanced over at Mecca with a what the fuck expression on his face, but not saying any words in fear of Champ hurting him again. Slowly, Champ lowered the blick, the weight of Mecca's message sinking in. His anger, his desperation, all that he bottled up, it was hard to let go. But the image of himself, holding up a show, ruining everything in one reckless moment, made him pause.
What if?
Champ's voice was barely a whisper.
What if I just come back here?
Mecca put a hand on his shoulder.
Then we try again and again. That's life, bro. It's not easy, but you're stronger than you think.
Champ finally let out a long, shaky breath, setting the gun down on the table. For the first time, he allowed himself to feel something other than rage, a hint of relief, maybe even hope. All right, man, he murmured, nodding. All right. And with that, the two friends sat down to talk not about revenge or bitterness, but about the road forward, the endless possibilities that lay ahead, as long as Champ was willing to take that first step. Chapter 8, the conclusion. As Mecca continued to calm Champ down, Math decided to make a move and lunge for the Draco, grabbing it and using the barrel to do his best to break his former employee's face in half.
Nigga, if it wasn't for my kids, I would murk you right now. Don't you ever come in my spot on some bullshit like this again.
In the end, NYPD was called to the shop, and Champ was arrested for first-degree murder, as well as aggravated assault, kidnapping, and second-degree robbery. He left Rikers Island a year later with 25 to life due to the crimes being his third strike, and my expert opinion went on to surpass 20 million subscribers due to the publicity from the incident.